Welcome to Choir Talks. My name is Greg O'Neill. I'm the worship pastor at Ridgecrest Baptist Church in Madison, Mississippi. Choir Talks is my podcast that is similar to what I would teach on a Wednesday night during a choir rehearsal time. This week I finished reading through the Pentateuch, which are the first 5 books of the Bible. And just looking back on that, I had to ponder a lot. I ran into a lot of difficult scriptures that were hard to understand. I ran into a lot of scriptures that I did understand, but were still just challenging for me. And then I just ran into a lot of beautiful moments that I was reminded of who God was and how He works in our lives. There were several themes that I saw in those first 5 books, and one of those themes I wanted to touch on a little bit today. I just saw it developing, and I ran into a verse that just made me think about that theme as I was finishing Deuteronomy. And here's the phrase or the verse. As your days, so shall your strength be. That's Deuteronomy 33:25. And again it is, as your days, so shall your strength be. I think that phrase stopped me because I really had to ponder, what does that mean? Sometimes I used to be frustrated that the Bible was maybe hard to understand. The language was not easy to grasp instantly as you're reading through. But the more I read the Bible, the more I appreciate that about it. It is meant to be read slowly enough that you ponder and think about what is being communicated and how I might need to understand that or apply it to my life. And this is one of those phrases that was like that for me. I just had to think, as your days, so shall your strength be. The phrase comes in the middle of a blessing that Moses is pronouncing over the tribe of Asher. It's a promise from God to these people. I researched the phrase, and as best as I can tell, the meaning is that God provides strength to us in daily portions, or that as you need strength, He will supply that strength by the day. And as I thought about that meaning, it just occurred to me that that was really something I saw several places throughout the first 5 books of the Bible. Most obviously, as I read about God giving manna in the desert. That's such an obvious application of this idea that God gave them what they needed, but only for that day. When God sent manna, it was sent each morning. That bread in the wilderness that they needed to sustain them, to give them strength. But each morning, as they experienced that manna, they could pick up plenty for themselves and for their families, but they could only pick up enough for the day. And as they tried to pick up more than they needed for the day to store it, that it spoiled, and they could never use it the next day. That the same was true for when He gave them quail. So God freely and generously gives them strength that they need, but it's only enough for the day. I thought that same principle came through several other times, like for instance when the Israelites come to the Red Sea and the Egyptian army is pursuing them, and so there's not an escape plan that is given to Moses way ahead of time, but in the moment of need for that moment, God opens up the playbook to say that they're going to pass through the Red Sea, and he rescues them. But He only gives them that knowledge in the moment. The opposite lesson is found in the story of Adam and Eve, who choose to take the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil because they want for themselves not to be dependent on God in a daily way, but they want for themselves to have this wisdom and knowledge that they could have apart from their relationship with God. Another place that reminds me was that Moses is asking for a plan to lead the Israelites, but God says instead, I will be with you. Here's the plan. Follow me on a daily basis. It reminds me also of the cloud by day and the pillar of fire by night that led them. It didn't give them a long advanced plan about where they needed to go. It just moved them day by day through the wilderness. So, reflecting back, there's strength and wisdom and grace for the day, and nothing more than that except the knowledge that God is with us and He will give us strength again tomorrow. Famous pastor D.L. Moody said this quote, "A man can no more take a supply of grace for the future than he can eat enough for today to last him for the next 6 months. Nor can he inhale sufficient air into his lungs with one breath to sustain life for a week to come. We are permitted to draw on God's store of grace from day to day as we need it." That idea also made me think forward into the New Testament and made me think about how Jesus taught his disciples to pray, and that specific line in that famous prayer which says, "Give us this day our daily bread." I don't know, I think there's several things to learn from the phrase, "As your days, so shall your strength be." One of them is that we serve a God who is able to provide and able to give us strength, and He has a fresh supply of strength for us every day. On those days that I feel too busy to stop and get that strength from Him, He's never too busy. He has a fresh supply for us every day. We could also take away from this verse that our walk with the Lord should mean that we recognize our dependence on Him every day. I take away from this verse just the idea that we need to walk with humility before the Lord and recognizing our need for Him. And I also take away from this verse that our daily reliance on the Lord keeps us in fellowship with Him, keeps us close to Him. So today, know that God has strength for you, and as your days go, so shall your strength be. Have a great day.